Hi everyone, Richard here from Calvin Wazoo, bringing you another video, and this one is for the Vinyl Tag 2021. I enjoy these videos. I enjoy watching others as they go through the list of items. I always discover new things and learn a little bit more about the vlogger as well. And so I'm going to go through my list of questions. And mostly, I mean, I don't know if this was a suggestion, to follow, that you pick items that you bought in 2020 or that are related, to 2020 in some way. But I did that, so all but a few questions answering with an example that I acquired in the year 2020, although a couple of them are from other years, simply because they were the better reply. So I'll get started, go through this as quickly as possible. First one is a 2020 discovery. In 2020, yep, that was the year that I discovered Cornelius. And this particular album is Fantasma, and I highly recommend. Cornelius is a Japanese musical artist who's been around for quite a while, plays all his instruments, and his music is very eclectic. It goes from math rock to Japanese pop to other world rhythms, to hardcore metal. I mean, it sounds like it's all over the place, but it really isn't. It really works well. This is a great album to start with. It's a double album set. Very cool label also. So that was my discovery. I have 3 of his albums now, and I will certainly pick up others. A quarantine buys. Okay, so most of my record stores, they are open for in-store shopping. So during the period when there was no in-store shopping here in Chicago, where I'm based, one of my primary record stores still, their inventory was online, so you could look it up and then you could go pick it up. And that's when I started acquiring Slint. And I did not know about these guys until this year. An amazing story. I have another video. In fact, I have a video also for Cornelius. I'll put links to those videos in the down under so that you can get some more details on this band, Slint. But pretty amazing band, very short-lived. This was their last album, and they essentially they didn't tour after they finally recorded it because the band disbanded. Great material, math rock. All right, next one is a box set. I don't think I bought any box sets this year. I have a CD box set that I bought, but I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to stick with vinyl, but this is a great box set. If you find it, it's probably not that available anymore because it was limited supply when it was first released. But the Gnome Trilogy by Gong. This is a great box set, great pressing, 3 albums, the first 3 albums that Gong produced. This was from their psychedelic progressive era. They later evolved into a band that was a little more jazz fusion-y. So this is from the early era. Gong, the Gnome Invisible Trilogy. Super cool box set with all kinds of neat materials that were brought with it. All right, a concept album. And I will go with the Flower Traveling Band Satori, which is Japanese word for instant enlightenment. This is an unknown hidden gem for a lot of people. I mean, if you like progressive, you like metal, the combination in there of that, then you should really check this band out. They released some other stuff that wasn't quite as good. This is a definite must-have. Band that changed directions. I'm going to go with this. Rolling Stones, and the album is Beggar's Banquet. Prior to this, was the Brian Jones phase, and they had just released their Satanic Majesty's Request. So leading up to that, between the Buttons and Flowers, and then you've got Satanic Majesty's Request, you can see the kind of direction the Stones were going at that time. And then they got rid of Brian Jones, and then he died shortly afterward. This was their next album, and this set the course for what the Rolling Stones were to become and for the rest of their musical career. Definitely a turning point album in their discography. All right, a white label promo. I don't have any. A compilation. All right, I chose this one, Los Mirlos, and it's a Cumbia Amazonica. Now, Los Mirlos is a cumbia band from Peru, and the style, cumbia is a style of music that is very indigenous to Central and South America, and the psychedelic cumbia it's a very cool sound, and someone who took that sound, I think, I haven't read whether this is an actual fact, but I believe Carlos Santana was strongly influenced by cumbia, and to some degree the Clash, especially on the album Sandinista, they were influenced to a degree by cumbia, and you can hear that kind of sound in their playing. This is a great one. I highly recommend it, especially if you like Latin, South American rock styles with that psychedelic edge to it. Los Mirlos. All right, the next one is an album that tells a story, which, concept albums do that as well, although concept albums don't necessarily have to. And one I picked up this year because of a reissue that made it far less expensive than trying to get an OG is SF Sorrow by The Pretty Things. Wonderful, wonderful concept album that does tell a story about a family, about SF Sorrow, Sebastian F. Sorrow, and his life and lost love, etc. A really wonderfully told story in this album. All right, album that needs a vinyl repressing. Yeah, Toad the Wet Sprocket. This is Fear. I have it on CD. There were some, the origin of the master is, you can see back here, it says AAD, which means it's an original analog. So they did release this on vinyl, but it was a very small supply, and they're very expensive right now in the market. And it needs a good, solid repressing. So somebody needs to get on that. Okay, I didn't skip anything, did I? No. All right, a common album, one that you just see everywhere, all the time. This one, Moody Blues, Days of Future Past. You see this all over the place, a lot of times really, really cheap. This is an OG before the original masters deteriorated, and then the ones that were released later were different mixes. However, even this being an OG, it was like $7. An uncommon record. This is so uncommon that I it was only for sale when I saw it for $1.99. It was just the record. I made this myself and printed it out. So the Sounds of Liberation was a social movement, and they formed in Germantown and Mount Airy neighborhoods of Philadelphia in 1970. They produced this one album, and which right now is, if you were looking for it with a cover, it's going to cost you $100 or more. And as I said, I got this for $1.99, but alas, no cover. There's the label. If you got the original album, which was released under the title, it's one of the songs on here, New Horizons. The last time it sold on Discogs was for $7,000. Next one is EP. One I picked up this year. This is an EP by Anthony and the Johnsons. Anthony is a transgendered singer-songwriter. Beautiful, beautiful music. They have several albums available that are out there. They have made many appearances on David Letterman, so you can look up Anthony and the Johnsons, or just Anthony and David Letterman in a YouTube search, and you'll find several videos of their material. So this is one of many releases that I have by Anthony. Girl group. A lot of people have been going with this one, but yeah, this is pretty much the only girl group. Go-Go's. Great, fun album, though, and obviously not one that I bought in 2020. A album with a cover that you love. Well, I got two. I do really love this album, Malibu Ken. Just crazy wild art, and the labels on the vinyl are just really amazing. The whole album cover is just a riot. I mean, just really bizarre. It certainly does match the mood and character of the music on the album. Excellent, outstanding album. Cover you love. Album you listen to the most. And I actually had another one I love this cover too. This is Alton Gun. The record is On. It's a Turkish group they're living in Europe. Really sweet psychedelia. And I just love that cover. The cover is just so amazing. So back to one that I listen to the most in terms of most recently. I've been listening to a lot of Syd Barrett. This is Opal. I am just so fascinated, intrigued with his story and his songwriting and the beautiful stories that he would tell. And there are some songs in here that somebody could really do some great covers, like Dolly Rocker. And but the song Golden Hair this is a remake take of Golden Hair on here. It is just absolutely beautiful. Album that I had to get an OG. Well, I show this a lot. Zappa in New York. The true OG that has Punky's Whips on side one. They were pressed, they were distributed mostly in Europe, and then they got recalled because of a lawsuit. And this album is also very pricey. It's one of the most expensive albums I own in my collection. But if it's Frank Zappa, I have to get an OG. Last album I purchased. Back to the OG thing. I might consider buying Led Zeppelin 2, a true OG, the Ludwig Hot Mix. just because I want to hear what it sounds like. But I'm not that convinced I need to. Okay, last album I purchased. Been buying a lot of punk lately and rediscovering punk, and this was among them. I thought I would show this one, this Black Flag, In My Head. Really like this. An album they don't get. Well, I'm going to show an album that I don't get. I bought this album because in many lists of like great albums to buy, it's always touted as one of the quintessential shoegaze. And I heard them before on MTV during the show 120 Minutes. Any of you remember that show? And I kind of liked it then when I was listening to it. So I thought, what the hell, I'll buy it. Yeah, My Bloody Valentine, Loveless. I've listened to this like 3 or 4 times, and I just don't get it. And I like other shoegaze bands to some degree, Slint is shoegaze, Polvo is shoegaze to some degree, but I don't get it. I don't get Loveless. It's just, part of it I think is that the songs are too long. But anyway, if there's something else I need to listen to that might help me go back to it, hey, let me know. Punk album, as I was mentioning punk before, show this one that I recently found. I got my copy of Dead Kennedy's Franken Christ. I think, this one is not necessarily the highest rated album among their releases, but I think this is my favorite. I really, really dig this one. And then the last one, favorite reissue of 2020. I am so glad that they're reissuing his early catalog. I didn't have a copy of his debut, and it was just way too expensive whenever I would see one. And they were often in like really marginal condition, and they still wanted like $50, $60 for one in this that's rated G. And if you were looking anything that was VG or VG plus, you were going to spend close to $100 or more. And that was just, it just really grinded me. So when they released this shortly after Record Store Day #1, I think, yeah, I went and got that. All right, so there's my Vinyl Tag 2021. Oh, kept it under 20 minutes. That's pretty good. Hope you enjoy it. Check out the links that I will have in the Down Under for some of these other records that will have more information and more detail about them. And as always, pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.